Hi everyone, this is Tatiana Dutiez, and I am hosting Thrive and Shine, and I'm super excited to talk to you and with you today about more exciting things that we are doing. We are launching this amazing event at the end of September, and I am today broadcasting this show from Montreal, where I am joined by my amazing daughter, Tasha Kredl, who is going to be one of the presenters and experts at this awesome event that we are calling an Immersive Reset. So, Natasha, welcome, as she's been here before.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Natasha and I are going to talk today about what we are going to be presenting to all of you for this immersive reset. I've decided to call it an immersive reset because the word retreat is a little redundant. Everybody has a retreat, and not that I specifically think that this is different in a lot of different ways, but I do think it is. So, and so the reason why I called it an immersive reset is really because I want the women who are going to join to fully participate in their transformation. So not just to be listening to the educational content, to be listening to experts giving us meditations and breath work sessions and all kinds of other delicious content and expertise that they will offer us. I want the women who joined this reset to really fully partake in their own transformation. So they will be educated, they will be taking part into their own breakthrough. They will be asking questions. They will be doing everything they want and need in order to get to the next level in their life. And so the way that we have set up this reset is really programmed in a way that takes you from where you are now to where you want to be, so that you are able to have the tools, the knowledge, and the embodiment that you need and require in order to step into a completely different life. So with tools, with mindset, and with embodiment. And the reset is all about blending the feminine energy and the masculine energy, which means blending the being that women so crave to have in their life with the doing. And so we Natasha and I talked a little bit about that yesterday on a live what Instagram that we did.
A live
Yeah,
stream on my
yeah.
Instagram.
I'd like Natasha to actually say it in her words, how she would explain this reset, how she's going to talk about it to her clientele, and really just tell us about the way that you see this in your life, in your clients, and in your words.
Yeah, I mean it's a good point because even yesterday when we were talking, was it whatever,
Yeah,
yesterday
I think it was yesterday.
when we were talking about it on my live, it's like we're explaining all these cool things that obviously it's our work and so it makes sense to us, but it got me thinking, like, I'm not really sure if people really understand the value behind it in terms of like proper vocabulary according
Mm-hmm.
to what they know already now. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I mean? So like tapping into the feminine to like rise more in the corporate world, or any relationship in their lives, whether it's work or money or their husband, partner, anything like them.
Children.
Yeah, like literally every single relationship around that surrounds them. um it's like, what does that mean, tapping into the feminine or the masculine at the proper time? Like, what does that entail?
Mm-hmm.
And like we said, we spoke about like the divine and the feminine and the divine masculine, and we're like, let's just not go there. uh
Yes.
just because it's like it's the same thing as authenticity or like the retreat things, like it's starting to be used over and over, and people are losing
Overused. Yeah.
that that full meaning of it to them anyway. So if it makes it a little bit more sense to people like my age, for example, like I'm exactly in that state. Like if it was just me, like separate from you and me, like this type of retreat or reset would interest me, because I'm in a state of my life right now where, as I've explained yesterday, I grew up very masculine, and then last couple of years, I really went into my feminine, but and so I hit two extremes because I always talk about that being really a law of energy is like if you hit one extreme fully, you'll always experience another extreme at some point or another, whether it has to do with alcohol, drugs, health, anorexia, wellness, or like feminine, masculine. Like if you're too extreme on one end, you're always going to experience the opposite extreme at some point or another. It's how it balances back out. And then you can find your balance right in the middle, right? And I'm at a point where I'm ready to find my balance between the two worlds of the masculine and the feminine energies within me, because I want to be in a state of flow and nurturing and soft and kind and compassionate, which is very feminine. But I also want to be more clear as to how I can tap into this go-getter, working certain hours, or really, setting my goals. And it's not even about being a hustler. It's just like more about goal-oriented and being able to tap to my masculine energy in a time that I need it. And I think that's what we're really talking about here is like, how can you really embody more of that balance between both different realities? Because like we spoke about yesterday, for so long, the corporate world has gone go, go, go into this masculine of doing things into like too controlling and too aggressive and too harsh. And it's like, well, we can do business and thrive and to be successful when we have that perfect balance between both. But that starts with us individually. So that
Correct.
goes
Yeah.
upon everybody and everything in terms of releasing limiting beliefs and breath and meditation and yoga and eating properly and all these things. Like it starts with you. So
Correct. Exactly. And so thank you, because that's very well said. And it's really in your words. And I think it represents your generation, the millennial generation, which is a big part of our world, right? We know that the millennials generation is going to be representing 70% of the workforce within a couple of years. That's huge.
better get
And
ready, guys.
and so for us women of my generation who are your mothers, what I know is for sure is that I have been a masculine energy driven woman because I brought you up, mostly on my own. I brought you up hustling with a business that I was building. I brought you up in a way that was primarily driven by my ambition to rise in this business world through, in a way, materialism. In a way, it was, the validation on the outside of being accepted by my peers and my partners and the men that I worked with. Every industry is actually male dominated, and there is nothing wrong with that. But what we know for sure as well today is that the power lies in us women to know how to rise in a different way than we have in the past with men,
Well,
because
what
the
happens in the end.
because in the end, um, we've seen, for instance, the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement has been an amazing movement to awaken some women into discovering more of their power, into really making sure that this world, composed sometimes of some men, not all men, but some men who are not as respectful to women. We know that today we need to those men to be out of our world. And so for the rest of the ones that are wanting to thrive with women, the men who want to celebrate women, the men who want to support women, be conscious men next to women who are rising and really embracing their power and their strength, it takes a special man to be like that. And it takes us to know exactly what our power is. And our power, in order to thrive and to rise and to continue to uplift each other, build a new community that is based on connection, that is based on community and inclusivity, diversity. And we know, most of you have received my email blast today. My email blast is sending you an invite to this event. And we start with this event stating stats. that are extremely relevant stats in this world today about women not being able to um, go beyond the glass ceiling, continuously hitting the glass ceiling. Why? Because yes, there is a perception out there of women. There is a paradigm out there about women in the patriarchal world that prevents women from rising to the degree that they can rise. So I say, Natasha and I say, and other women say that when we rise today, the way we need to rise is really to know who we are to the core of our truth, and that is to know how to tap in the masculine energy, which is the energy of linear, goal minded, goal setting, bottom line, uh, result oriented mentality. And the feminine is the opposite to that, which is all of the nurturing and all of the spontaneity and the adaptability and the curiosity and the creative and innovative spirit. All of that belongs to actually the feminine energy. So it's to tap into both, to really merge it into one that makes you and allows you to become more whole from the inside, and allows you to also influence completely differently people around you. Tasha, what did you want to
Yeah.
add? I know I was on a well. I needed to
Yeah.
really go deeper into this because, like you said, this stuff is not brought into the business world.
No,
This stuff, yeah. So we need to expose it.
I totally agree. It wasn't even about like stop or anything. It was just more about like I just want to correct a thing because there was something said that I think some people may perceive differently. It was just about the fact that like women are limited, but I think a lot of women are limiting themselves. That's
Yeah,
the issue.
yeah.
So it's not
Well,
like men are
yeah.
coming in limiting us and being like, no, sit down. It's more like we need to start in
It,
like understanding that okay, so I'll just talk a little bit more about like what I do because it'll make sense to maybe some people into understanding where this is really coming from.
right. And to your point, which is really an amazing point, I just want to underline your point,
Yeah.
is that you're absolutely correct, 150% correct. The power
And down
lies
so many
no, no, no. This is what
like
anyone who follows my brand, my mission, my purpose knows that I am all about men
yeah, and I
and
just
women
want to like
working together.
make it
And
clear for
yeah,
let's say we got a new follower or something they don't know. Like
correct.
we
So
love
what
men. We
so
just
what we're saying is that there is though a limitation by a past patriarchal system and paradigm. There
make
is definitely, and I have experienced it a lot in my past.
yeah.
And and to that we say there is also the component that women need to understand, that they have all they need within them to go beyond it.
Oh, of
And
course.
so that we work together, live together, love together, play together, and lead together with men.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so Tasha is one of the presenters to this immersive reset, and her genius is to
What a word.
teach people. I love that word. Her genius is to teach people how to integrate all in their lives for, in fact, their best health, their optimum health. And so how for women can they actually not only learn to integrate movement in their lives, so that movement and foods and the balance of their chakras and everything else in their life all merge into an optimum state of health. And so Tasha is going to present. Go ahead, like tell us, because it's
I mean,
juicy.
yeah, like it is juicy and it's like I think I mean to put it in like a one sentence thing, it's like you said, or there's so many different ways of putting it together. And I try to just step away from the whole mind, body, soul thing because it's getting overused. And it's really to yeah, to teach women to tap in more into in movement in a sense that it's not just about exercising, it's really
Mm,
about releasing their
Mm-hmm.
energies within, to really tap into this force that makes them feel powerful, and to at the same time release anything that holds them back energetically. There's a lot of women that are too focused on working out, like we were just talking about, remember, when we were driving back, about, women automatically, the first thing they do when they think about, I feel like crap, I need to stop eating carbs, I need to lose weight, who's a trainer? And I'm like, that's so interesting that the first thought we have is like, let's get a trainer. But there's so many different parts that play into
Mm-hmm.
this whole realignment of your being into a full radical well-being that really thrives on all levels. And because I'm so curious, I'm always testing different ways in terms of like, okay, is it really just the training? Is it really just the food? How is it individually? How is it together? Am I missing something else? Then there's a whole other part of like your heart set, your emotional set, your emotional healing. How can you do that? And your chakras, that's the easiest part for us to really understand, like, okay, where's my blockage and how do they work? So a lot of the time, like for women, one of the biggest that I see is, our sacral chakra. Our sacral is the orange, it's right above the root, and it is all has to do with our sexuality, our creativity, our passion. It's our power center right below our solar plexus. And when you look at the chakra system, when they are directly connected to each other, you always have to skip one. So the next one that's fully connected to the sacral chakra, you skip the solar, you get into the heart. And we all know in this coaching world and this realignment, success, divine feminine, whatever world, the biggest part that we need to work on is the heart center, because the heart center is the middle and the medium between our physical self, our physical energy system, and our spiritual system. So when our heart is not fully cleared, open, and in flow with our being, literally you can look at the heart, it's the blood, it's the pumping. If there's blockage between our blood vessels, between our heart, we literally lack flow in terms of circulation, in terms of energy, in terms to our creativity, our power, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep going ahead, if you skip one, it's the throat, therefore the third. And the third eye all has to do with our imagination, being able to create, being able to see further past this physical world that we're always like consumed by 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the whole part of, a lot of people right now have their third eye closed because they live in this consumerism world where everything they think is physical and this is it. Like, oh, I only have $1,000 right now. That means that's it. I'm not getting more, because that's the only thing that's really physical at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
there's more to that. So if they were more open and more in flow, everything would flow better within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then you use foods to enhance that. You can use
Mm-hmm.
foods to tap into certain chakras to really heal these parts that are missing flow, whether it's solar, root, hearts, throats, whatever. And that creates more flow, more energy blockages, and everything just kind of starts to like align. And then you add movement into that, and it's like your body's like, oh my God, I'm understanding what's happening. I'm unshackling, I'm realigning. Wow, okay, I haven't felt like this in a long time. And that's why I teach animal flow, and I love it. It's a primal movement training, right? I incorporate in my training. It's not just what I do, but I love incorporating that for women specifically because you're on your hands, you're on your feet. You have no choice but to come back to your child self. And what is your child self connected to? Your sacral.
And your heart.
Well, of course, but sacral heart. So they're all fully aligned.
Yeah.
So it's just like little things
That's it.
here that just it all comes together.
Exactly.
And when you are in that state, then you have better clarity as to like you almost step back and you see like, okay, I can see now when I'm in flow that I have this trigger, that I have this limiting belief, that I think this and I think that, and I know I can change all that. You are able to be observer and no longer the attachment to these things around you.
You take a step back.
That was like very channeled.
This is perfect, but it is all about that. It's really about giving the tools in this reset. It's all about giving the tools on an educational level, on a spiritual level, on a physical level, on an emotional level, so that so that we can all take a step back, be looking at our lives and who we are becoming with more perspective, with more awareness, and decide, because we all have a choice. We have a choice to create the life we want, and it's really all ours. There is nobody else that's going to do it for us.
I agree totally. But I just have one point because, again, this is something I was really focusing on the last couple of months because even for me, who's continuously going to learn and grow, and I always learn and go through what I have to go through to be able to teach it afterwards, right? That's why we are here. The same thing with you, same thing with everybody. There's a reason why we're going through what we're going through. And there's a part of me, which I think a lot of women can relate to at this moment, where you almost think about like, why can't I just take the step? Why can't I just do this? Why can't I just look past this? Why can't I just give myself the help that I need? And why can't I just forgive myself at the same time and just do this with a lack of judgment? Why? And
Yeah.
it really, and I looked into it, and for me, it was so interesting to find more scientifically, which really like results in the spiritually as well. But it really allows us to understand better so that we can go through this with more ease. But the basic form of it is that even just 50, 60 years ago, 70, 80, whatever, 100, the last years, thousands years, we, us women, have been dimmed. We have been told that we are not good enough, that we, through marketing, through people, that we are, literally kind of like, I wouldn't say slaves, but I would say like
weaker, that we are the weaker species.
we're weaker, we're not powerful, we're just meant to stay at home and
couldn't vote until very, very recently.
yeah. And so even from a book that I was reading called Empowering Women by Louise Hay, the first few pages she was explaining how in the 1950s, they were still giving books in schools telling women how to act and be around their husbands when they come home. Make sure that you're cleaned up when he comes home, and don't talk about yourself. Make sure you ask him first how he is, because his day was more important. And so I was combining that with my whole gene scientific base behind us having limiting beliefs in terms of like, why do we think so hard that we are not worth of more? And it's literally because it sits in our genes. Literally, it could be from friends, from past lives, from generations, mothers, grandmothers, great grandmothers, where
it's a lineage.
Literally have this fear within our genes. And a lot of people will go, well, I can't change that then because genes
yes, you can.
And yes, you can. And there's ways of doing that. But that's the thing. It's like, oh my God, like if you're able to actually, like me, where I'm able to figure out like, holy crap, I can change this. It's like, why would you not want to change that?
And it's never too late to change it. I mean, you are at the beginning of your life. You're 26, you just turned 26, right? And that's why I came here to Montreal, to spend my time with you and celebrate your birthday. And women like me who are around 50, in my 50s, I'm forever supporting, celebrating, and wanting to nourish those that hesitate in investing in themselves, and it's just so important.
Yeah, I agree. But my whole point of this was the fact that a lot of women don't forgive themselves because they think they have a problem, and they think that they're broken, and they think that they can't fix it, that there's too much. Even that's my main point behind all this, is that there is no such thing as you being broken or having too much. And sometimes it does feel like you can't change it, but it's just because it's in your genetic base. Like it has been part of your family for generations. Like forgive yourself, forgive them for that, which is huge. And step into your power. Like, holy shit, like I can actually change this. I can do this, because we have the tools now to really shift this and clear it out of the window. And not even just for ourselves, but for the next generations, for our kids, for whoever comes after us. So
it's so well said. Thank you. Because we have the power to change it, and we must change it, because not only is this rise of women right now in the world all about that, it's really because I think that there is an energy that this planet has right now of knowing, of wisdom, that
It's
it
clear.
is needing to change. The fact that we have polluted our planet, Mother Nature is, reacting to a lot, with so many natural events right now in the world. Mother Nature is reacting, and the rise of the feminine is also affecting business. It's affecting how we do business. It's affecting the meaning that we as women want to infuse in business. We are more purpose driven. We want meaning. We want inclusivity. We want heart. When you were talking about the heart diffuses the strongest energy in the universe. It's been proven. It is a scientific fact that the heart generates the strongest energy. So
Like you were
we
saying to me recently, like Tony Robbins even changed his entire way that he's been coaching and doing his seminars, where he roots back more to the heart than anything right now, right?
absolutely, he's switched a lot around from
Oh my God.
what people knew of Tony Robbins way back when, as he's done this for 35 years. Today, when you go to a Tony Robbins event, there is meditation, there is centering, there
Yeah.
is grounding, and that was in existence in his world even, I think, maybe 10 years ago. But the other thing that I want to underline here is that we have to change this from our lineage, from our DNA, because of our children as well. I'm a mother, your mother. I feel a huge sense of responsibility, and I always have, to be a role model for you, and to be a role model for the ones who are your friends, your sisters, your brothers, whatever. So it is really within our realm to be able to change and to also affect the men around us. As we're coming back to the men around us, we are not about feminism and the concept that women are to rise at any cost. I believe that women rise better with men next to them. And
Yes.
we need to come back to relearning how we can work better with men, live better with men, and love better with men. And that to me is the basis of my work. It is how it started. It started really because I realized that I was too much in my masculine. And it also started when I realized that part of that contributed to my divorce with Natasha's father. And I realized at that point, only 5 years ago, that I had a responsibility in a situation that, yes, it would be easier to blame on my ex-husband for a divorce, but in fact we're both responsible. And so what was my responsibility? I looked into that for a little while, and I found out that it was my masculine energy that really, was one of the igniters. It's not all about it, but it was one of the igniters. And I think we all have a tremendous responsibility to be the best of ourselves, to become the best of ourselves. And that includes being completely and all encompassing of men around us, as our partners, as our fathers, as our brothers, as our sons,
But it all
husbands,
starts, honestly, like we always talk about you and I, but it all starts with us
within.
as
Absolutely.
individuals. Because when you hold that space for yourself, you hold that space for them without even doing anything. Just like, we both know you don't even have to do anything, but when you work on you, people come around and they start doing things, and you're like,
And
what's happening? But it's because you're taking care of you.
exactly. And to your point, thank you for also bringing that to the surface, because I can only honestly say that I have seen not only miracles in my life around me, in taking that step to take care of me,
Mhm.
taking that step to an understanding that I matter more. And by mattering more to myself, I elevated myself through growth, through spiritual consciousness, through whatever I needed on the moment. It created a field of energy that allowed my daughters to elevate as well. It created a field of energy to have different types of relationships with men. It created a field of energy around me in the way that I work also with others and men. And this is actually a question I'm often asked. And I have a dear friend of mine in France who asked me this question, and I hadn't fully answered her. And maybe this is her answer. She was splitting up with her man, and she asked me a little bit of advice. And I said, well, the best thing you can do is really take ownership of who you are right now, take ownership of where you want to be and
Accept.
who you want to be, right?
Oh,
own own exactly what it is right now that is happening. And so her reaction was, well, it's not my fault. Like, why should I be the one stepping forward and being that responsible? And so to her I say today, which I haven't said yet, it is not because you need to be in competition with your partner as to who is going to step first. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to all to do with who do you want to be? Do you want to grow, or do you want to be a victim? Do you want to look at people and witness their amazing relationships, or do you want to remain the victim and feel sorry for yourself and not understand that you contributed to this situation? You did. You contributed, whether you like to admit it or not. You contributed to this situation. How did you contribute to it? And what can you do from now on to become more? That's it. It's very simple.
but I think
So
a lot of people, where they get stuck there is that, let's say your friend at this point, she's already thinking she's doing the right thing. And one thing that I really live by, and I teach my own clients all the time, is that there is no wrong, there is no right, there just is. So whether or not you like it, like pointing fingers at a person, they might not even understand what that victim mode is, what they're doing. They're not even understanding because they're not aware enough to see that this is a really ego characteristic that they live by. They may have been living by this for a long time. And the biggest part of that, I think, is like, again, educating people what the ego is and its tendencies and what our personal egos are, because we all have a different one and they all have their different ways of coping with us as individuals, but they do not mean that they are us. So the more that we get to understand our ego and befriending it and understanding where it comes from, its triggers, its patterns, it's this and that, then we're able to really like look at it as a different person and heal with it, from it, and moving forward with it. And I
mm-hmm,
think like I see that a lot is
mm-hmm.
again, it's not something to be like, oh, you suck, like you're in your victim mode, like they don't even know it, like it's our job again to like almost hold compassion endlessly to
Oh,
like, wow, like
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
I've been there, we've all
we
had.
yeah, and we can't do this work if we don't hold compassion. I
No,
mean,
but
that's
even
it's
even even from that, it's like it's again sometimes like it's a daily and a lifelong practice to really get to know our own individual egos and
mm-hmm,
not attach ourselves to it at all. And just
mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh shit, like I have a trigger with I don't know, like people copying me. Like I really have a trouble with that. Like that's recent, and I'm open because I'm going to be as cracked open as I can possibly can, because obviously there's a reason why I'm going through it right now. But it really triggers me that I'm being copied all the time and it drives me nuts.
What a compliment,
I
Cherie. You
know, but see,
must
that's
be
the thing.
so incredibly amazing and powerful and delightful and shiny
But
that,
that's what I'm thinking, right? Like, shouldn't I be like, oh my God, like, thank you
yes.
so much? No, but my ego is like, why are you doing this to me? Like, it's driving it nuts. But the second that I stand aside and I'm like, oh, you are triggered, and you just let it do what it needs to do and not
Yeah.
fight it, because that's the worst thing to do. And I know a lot about, okay, I don't know everything because I will never know everything, but I've learned a lot about the ego because I have a huge one. And
I love
I'm
it.
gonna say it because I'm a Leo. I'm a double Leo. I am fire. I am passionate. I'm like rough, tough. I've been born and raised masculine. Like, like I
Yep.
have a big ego. And it's not, again, if people don't understand what ego is, it's that self-destructive thought inside your head that likes to tell you that you suck, or that's very judgmental, therefore very judgmental against others, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I had to really like sit myself down and like observe all that happen and be like, oh my God, like this is not even me. Like, how does that happen? So, side note again, just for anybody listening and they're curious more about understanding more about the ego, the best book for that is The Untethered Soul, because that really
Mm.
up. Like when I read about the ego in that book, I was like, oh, that's me. Gotcha.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, continue.
And
I know, but maybe somebody.
no, but that's great. No, we need it all. We need it all. This is the time to like, it's the time of abundance. And this reset is about abundance. This reset is about abundance. I can't hear you when you talk at the same time. I can't.
Okay. I was making a joke. I was just making
But
a joke.
I know, but I want to laugh, but I can't hear it when you talk at the same time. I don't know. We have technical difficulties. It took us like 10 minutes today to even find a spot in this house where I could actually create this show. So bear with us. We are, so, but yes, this is a time of abundance. This is a time of taking responsibility and committing to ourselves and changing our lineage and being the one who make that first step, because really that was the point in that last part of our conversation was, I'm often asked, why should I be the one making that first step in changing something that I want differently, let's say in a couple? And I always respond to that, because otherwise, if you don't take that first step for yourself, who is going to take care of you? No one is responsible for you. We are. And until you change that and you change your energy, magic happens when you change that realm and the energy around you. So this reset.
As we're talking about this, it started to rain where I am.
Oh, there you go.
But I had a point on
Beautiful here where I am, which is only a couple of miles from you.
20 minutes away from here, but no, it's raining. One point I just had to make about that is that yes, nobody else is going to take care of you. And yes, nobody else is going to make choices for you that matter to you and for you and will help you elevate. But at the same time, if you look at a bigger picture in all this, not even just for your kids, every single choice that we decide to make ourselves better, not only affects us and the people around us, but it affects energetically, literally the entire universe and planet itself.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
not even just about like oh, just for me, like I should probably do this for me. It's like, no, girl, like you take ownership of this. You start taking your power within what you have to do to heal yourself and to move forward and to live the life that you want to live, because you would not have been given the dreams and the visions if they weren't yours in the first place, and to give them to others afterwards.
Absolutely. Wow. Amen to that. Ooh, that was channeled. All right. Sassy.
Fire, ego, Leo. I
can't.
Yes.
So here we go. We are going to present this amazing reset, which I know is going to be amazing, because we are going to bring in our collective energy, our collected hearts. We're going to bring expertise. We're going to bring dance, yoga. We're going to bring breath work. We're going to bring meditation. We're going to bring Tasha. We're going to bring a DJ. We're going to bring so many different people that are passionate about what they do, so that they are there to serve and they are there to help elevate this planet and you and us at the same time, because we're rebuilding a community. We are in the process of rebuilding this world from different standards. And the standards today that are keeping on rising are heart-centered standards and heart-centered leadership, and just being able to all enjoy our lives together in a way that will rock this world.
Just
Right?
casually, no big deal.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's completely in our
it's
hands.
very it's
Absolutely.
all
It
good.
is.
Yeah.
So on this note, I think do we want to bring in more? Do we want to talk about more? Yes,
I think
about
I said
this.
everything I had to say clearly. It was very like whoop. So
Whoop.
I
Okay.
am good. If people, I mean, I've never promoted myself on this channel ever, but if people are more curious as to what I do, they can. I'm very active on my Instagram, Tasha Kredl, Tashakredl. Unfortunately, I don't have your last name, so it is what it is.
So
Imagine
sweet.
this, Tasha Dudian. Thanks.
Thank you, Natasha.
It just doesn't sound good.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And that's the reason why we chose your name in that way, because it rhymes. It doesn't rhyme, but it goes very well
Sounds
with
better.
Credle. Yeah,
I
it does.
think it sounds
Absolutely.
great.
Both of you and your sister.
I
And
agree.
so
Anyways,
so
so
yeah, so
basically, I'm very excited to be at this immersive reset, and I think I'm really excited. Not only to be with the other leaders of this event, but to also, oh my God, there was like pine trees that just fell all down at once. That's really, thank you for the confirmation. That was really interesting. I think I'm really excited to see. I love seeing people rise. I love seeing people awaken. I love seeing them have
yeah,
these like aha moments where
yeah,
they're like, and it's
yeah.
like to help them heal and to help them like open up. Like I'm as I have a certain character. I'm pretty honest. I'm open. I'm very
No,
like
really?
ha ha ha.
We
So
haven't even noticed this in the last 40 minutes.
yeah, I'm just saying. But I'm like so. But as I'm doing that, it really cracks people open. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not even just talking about myself, but that's what I've experienced because that's how I coach. And some
Mm-hmm.
people love it, some people hate it. It's just different
It is
characters.
what it is. Yeah.
When it works, I'm like, oh my God. Like
Oh yeah.
it's like it's painful and it's shitty and you're really having the courage. Oh, what did Marianne Williamson say today? I read it somewhere and it really like I think it's having the courage to really embody all the wounds that we have and need to heal is more important than like even just I think it's anyways something along the lines of like it's really important to really embody having the courage of like feeling these wounds that we have internally and emotionally and yeah I just really love to see women wake up and to
Mm.
really hold this space of forgiveness and love for themselves because it just vibes off of them and their aura and people feel that around them and they're like oh my God like these things are happening, how are they happening, I don't even know, and it's like just
Exactly. And that's the result. I speak of like this magnetism that magnetism, and it's like an irresistible magnetism that a woman has once she has awakened and
yes.
once she is like fully embodying her heart and her everything, and she really takes it on, and
Yeah.
it creates crazy things, crazy experiences around her. And I absolutely adore that. I also adore seeing it in men because
Yeah.
I also coach men, and I just love that. I just love seeing people awaken as well. So we have this common passion. That's not surprising that we are connected in this way, having this common passion, and we are committed to giving all of you this amount of love, this amount of energy, this amount of passion, this amount of commitment that we have in our own lives, so we can deliver to you the best of us and serve you with the best of intention from our hearts and souls. So thank you so much for participating today, and we want you there. We want to see you there. Please come. You can just simply join from the site. My site is tatianajudiez.com. The event is there. You're going to see it on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. There is an email campaign. You probably received an email by now because we did do this coincidental email and show at the same time. So please join us. I'm so excited to see you soon. And thank you for coming and trusting us. Much love to you. Bye.